Chapter 27. A New Hope, Nier. After our fun in the shower, I followed White and 6-0 back into the main operations room. After we entered, I gave 6-0 a light hug and sent her off back to her workstation while I and White went to her bench. Alright, Jake, soon enough the conference call will come through. Although I ask you not to interfere with the operations taken by the Resistance Army, I doubt any of the androids will desire to deny any advice or even vaguely implied orders, so I ask that if you decide to speak that you take care what you say, as tens of thousands of androids will live and die by your words. I firmly nodded, giving her words all due care, and basically swore to myself to keep my mouth shut as my family's biggest hatred while serving in the various departments of the military and working their way up the ranks were the armchair generals from civilian backgrounds. Alright, you do what you gotta do, I will just help with some of this paperwork, I said, picking up White's tablet. She patted my thigh in appreciation, though I could feel she wanted to show more affection, but I was being heavily watched by literally a couple operators at any second as, when they had breaks between talking to the ground forces, they would spin around on their chairs to stare up at me in wonder. Though as I glanced up every once in a while, I could see some of the girls throwing 6-0 dirty looks, probably after hearing how she was able to shower with me. God knows if she exaggerated it though and made me out to be some lewd beast taking both White and her at the same time. Something that was new, however, was I got the opportunity to talk to a couple of scout models as they brought more sensitive, solid copies of information up to White rather than broadcasting it. In fact, I was talking to this one scout named 7S, and he had interesting things to say. Wait, so you are saying you found an old vintage store that slowly sunk into a sinkhole in the desert, and there is a trove of old movies and video games within? Yes, sir. After checking the stock manifests, I saw they were adding stuff even a few years past the start of the white chlorination syndrome, so it's likely we will be able to collect much data and culture from humanity before its decline. 7S nodded frankly in excitement. As much as I want to share the details on the stuff found. Well, the androids have a habit nowadays to just send whatever human artifacts they find to whatever bunker is on the moon, though I know it isn't inhabited by any human, so those movies and games would be best served stored within my bunker. I could see White giving me a funny look as she was reading a summarized report of the regions held by the Resistance Army, seeming to be able to already guess my plans. 7S, please give me a copy of the coordinates. I plan on trying to excavate the media and machines within. Having a disk repair machine will open up a good number of games and movies that may have not been stored all too well in my bunker, or hell, just been used all too much. Yes, sir. The male android saluted, obviously happy I was so interested in his find. I do hope you don't plan on going to excavate that media cache all alone, Jake. Commander White glowered at me. In response, as I didn't have any more paperwork on this tablet, I just laid my head on White's lap as she seemed to be taking a break as well, and then responded to the prior question. Probably not. I will have my 9S, 2B, and 6E within the deserted, remember. I pointed out my 3 android ladies who were sent on their search and destroy mission in that same desert region. Fine, Jake, I will have the drop ship sent to where the coordinates designated the cache was, and then the ship will take you back to your bunker. She muttered about having the drop ship have to also make a number of other stops to make sure to throw off any machine tracking to keep my bunker hidden. I just closed my eyes and rested for a minute while White took the opportunity to brush and play with my shoulder-length hair that had grown out after not having a barber tending to it every month or so. I needed to find an android who had some skill in messing with hair, as I certainly can't cut my own hair, as that would leave a horrible hack job and I rather look like a hippie than use a bowl and do a bowl cut. Commander White. The Resistance Army is attempting to add you to the call. Please accept it and stop playing with Jake's fluffy hair. An operator cried out, and while White flinched at being called out, she simply audibly huffed, and if anything, I could feel the smug aura rolling off her as she spoiled me. Even if I wanted to interject into the call, I had little chance, as I simply didn't understand all the ling they were using to designate their targets of interest, so I just played the cat being petted by the evil overlord. I wasn't sure if this was a video call or not, with the wall from the lift blocking my view, though the half-dozen different voices coming from the call didn't mention me, though it could just be they thought White snapped and had a boy toy made. Honestly though, I kinda regretted getting out of bed with how I couldn't really join in the conversation, as I could only recognize one android talking about the mutated wildlife starting to spread out from what was once Florida. And it was being speculated that it was likely that the collision and merging from the mutated beings in the Dark Lands will bring about new, even stronger creatures, which will certainly play a part in the war in a few centuries with how they can fairly easily destroy machine lifeforms if they get their hands on said machines, even at this point. Let alone if they manage to further adapt and become more dangerous.